40 za Moses Lenolkulal ni leo. Tunakupeleka sasa moja kwa moja hadi katika mahakama ya Milimani. Jaji Thomas Nzioki anaisoma hukumu ya Moses. Tuvuke kule moja kwa moja.
Of the factors to be considered in a sentence is stated below. That's age of the offender, being a first offender, whether the offender pleaded guilty, character and record of the offender, remorsefulness of the offender, possibility of reform and social readaptation of the offender, gravity of the offense, time served in custody prior to conviction. To arrive at a just and appropriate sentence in the present case, I have considered the mitigation, the personal circumstances of each of the accused person, and the offending behavior as established by the evidence on record. This being a corruption matter, I have also considered and am informed by the following objective which I find to be relevant in meting out sentence to the accused person. The first objective is the objective of deterrence, to deter. The second objective is the retribution. The third one is denunciation. And the fourth one is community protection, and the community, I say, the Kenyan public at large. The present case rests on breach of public trust by public officers. That went for the 2 terms that the first accused person served as a governor of Samburu County government. The offending acts of the accused persons were deliberate and in breach of the tenets of good governance expected of public officers under the Constitution of Kenya 2010. There cannot be any excuse for the governor to trade with his county government. The consequences of such actions are dire to the people he is elected to serve. A governor so conflicted will not be keen to give his wool to the people. His motive, just as is the case in any matter of commerce, will remain the profit, but not the servant leadership as demanded by the Constitution. In this case, the acquisition of the sum of 83,487,995 is a benefit that went to the pockets of the first accused person and the 11th accused person. This is a benefit that falls under the definition of Section 2 of the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act No. 3 of 2003, and I read it as such. In this circumstance, and considering the mitigation, this is the sentence for all the accused persons. You can raise up for your sentence. Under count 3, the first accused person, Moses Lenolkulal, now convicted of a charge of conflict of interest, conduct provision of Section 42(3), as read with Section 48(1) of ASECA, I hereby sentence you under provision of Section 48(1)(a) of the Act to pay a fine of 1 million. In default, you serve 4 years imprisonment. That's for count number 3. In count number 3, I'm not imposing any mandatory sentence. For count number 4, first accused person, Moses Lenolkulal, and the 11th accused person, Esbon, Jack Washira Ndadi, jointly convicted on a charge of unlawful acquisition of public property, contrary to Section 45(1)(a), as read with Section 48(1) of ASECA, I hereby sentence you as follows. 1. Under Section 48(1)(a) of ASECA, each one of you to pay a fine of 1 million, in default to serve 4 years imprisonment. That's the first limb. Under Section 1B, as read with Section 2A of ASECA, first accused person, you shall then pay a mandatory fine in the sum of 83,460,995. That sum is equivalent to twice the benefit after apportioning the public funds unlawfully acquired between yourself and the 11th accused person. So that's the sentence for the governor, Lenolkulal. You can sit down, Lenolkulal. That's your sentence. Under Section 48(1)(b, as read with Section 48(2)(a) of ASECA, the 11th accused person, Esbon Ndadi, You shall also pay a fine of 83,460,995, equivalent to twice the benefit after dividing or apportioning that the public funds unlawfully acquired between you and the first accused person. So you also pay that. So that's the sentence for the 11th accused person. You can sit down. For the second accused person, Stephen Siringa Letinina, convicted on a charge of abuse of office contrary to Section 46 as read with Section 48(1) of ASECA. This court will sentence you only under provision Section 48(1)(a) of the Act. You pay a fine of 1 million and in default to serve 4 years imprisonment. I've considered your position. You are the county secretary. That's a very powerful position. You should have done better. And even to disclose to your own colleagues and guide them on matters of the law. So you pay 1 million in default, 4 years imprisonment. I've not considered what any mandatory fine for you. So you can sit down, 1 million or 4 years imprisonment. The category of the other accused persons, that accused person, Daniel Nakuo Lokirina, convicted on a charge of abuse of office contrary to Section 46 as read with 48(1) of ASECA. I'll sentence you only under provision of Section 48(1)(a) of that Act. That is, you pay a fine of 700,000 in default. You also serve 4 years imprisonment. I've also not imposed any mandatory fine on you. So you pay 700,000 or 4 years imprisonment. You can sit down. The fourth accused person, Josephine Amo Lenasalia, also convicted on a charge of abuse of office contrary to provision Section 46 as read with 48 of ASECA. I hereby sentence you under Section 48(1)(a) of the Act to pay a fine of 700,000 in default. You serve 4 years imprisonment. I've also not imposed any mandatory fine on you. You can sit down now, just when you pay 700,000. Fifth accused person, Ruben Maruben Lemunyete. Lemunyete, you can also sit down. You don't need to rise up. Sit down, because you are unwell. I'll also sentence you for a charge of abuse of office contrary to provision of Section 46 as read with Section 48 of ASECA. Under provision of Section 48(1)(a) of the Act to pay a fine of 700,000 in default to serve 4 years imprisonment. I have also not imposed on you any mandatory fine. The sixth accused person, Linus Milton Longenje. Who is Milton Longenje? Who is Milton? Milton, yes. Convicted on a charge of abuse of office. I'll proceed to sentence you under provision Section 48(1)(a) of the Act to pay a fine of 700,000 in default 4 years imprisonment. I'll not impose any mandatory sentence on you. You can sit down, Milton. The seventh accused person, Paul, convicted on a charge of abuse of office under provision of Section 46 as read with Section 48 of ASECA. I'll proceed to sentence you under provision of Section 48(1)(a) of the Act. You pay a fine of 700,000 in default. You serve 4 years imprisonment. You can sit down, Paul. The eighth accused person, Bernard Lesurmat Latarasi, convicted on a charge of abuse of office contrary to provision of Section 46 as read with Section 48 of ASECA. I hereby sentence you under provision of Section 48(1)(a) of the Act to pay a fine of 700,000 in default to serve 4 years imprisonment. I have not imposed any mandatory sentence on you. You can sit down, Bernard. Ninth accused person, Lillian Balanga, convicted on a charge of abuse of office contrary to provision of Section 46 as read to Section 48 of ASECA. I hereby sentence you under provision of Section 48(1)(a) of the Act you pay a fine of 700,000 and in default you serve 4 years imprisonment. I've not imposed any monetary fine on you, Balanga. The sentence in respect of the first accused person and the 11th accused person, that's the governor, and that shall run consecutively, effective from the date of the judgment, which is 28th of August 2024. I promised yesterday that I'm also going to count in the 1 day that you are in custody, so I've also considered that. So for that sentence, you pay the entire amount or you serve the entire period for the two of you. In addition to that sentence, and pursuant to the provision of Section 64 of the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act number 3 of 2003, accused person, you are hereby disqualified from being elected or appointed to any public office for a period of 10 years from the date of this particular judgment. That's for the sentence. I'll now proceed to make the following further orders. The surety for the accused person are hereby discharged, and any security deposited in court shall be released forthwith. Also, any cash bail deposited in court shall be released to the depositor. Accused person's passports deposited in court shall also be released forthwith. I'll order that accused persons, you have 14 days right of appeal. It's your right against the judgment and sentence by this court. We shall issue certified copies of the judgment and the ruling on sentence to all the parties subject to payment of the court charges where the same will be applied. So that marks the end of the court sentence. I just need to correct a few things, then I'll also be willing to release the sentence for you in a very short while. Any clarification from any of the accused persons or any counsel?
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah. Yes.
Perhaps maybe we just give guidance whether it is something we can wait for or we try our luck to...
No, you can just wait. After all, we have burned the day, so I really beseech you, because even equally myself, I think I'm even worse off than you people. So really, I beseech you, just wait for your ruling. I think the best thing, you internalize.
Thank you very much for time. We want to know whether the court registry, the account is not open to enable us process.
I'll make inquiries. I'll call the accounts in charge personally. I'll call, and if there's anyone who is in a position to pay, they should. But one thing that I don't want to do, Mr. Polo, now I'm tired. I don't want to go to the issue of offsetting, and we are in a new system. McHugh, we are in a new system, and the transition of the cash bills, there is a problem somewhere. So if you are able to pay, please pay. But allow me, I'll try to call the account in charge. If it can get paid, we'll have no problem. And if at all you can be able to pay.
Na bila shaka ni hukumu ambayo imetolewa na Jaji Thomas Nzioki katika mahakama ya Milimani, ambapo aliyekuwa gavana wa Samburu Moses Lenolkulal amehukumiwa faini ya shilingi milioni 83.4 kwa kosa moja, na kosa jingine shilingi milioni 1, ama ahudumu kifungo cha miaka 4 gerezani atakao kukula maharagwe mabichi kama ilivyokuwa